It's a lovely morning and warm welcome to the program. Kunle Ariyo is my name. The United States has imposed a 14% tariff on a wide range of Nigerian exports, just as our non-oil sectors are beginning to gain traction. The result? Billions of naira in potential losses. According to the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, up to 2 trillion naira in non-oil export value is at risk. Agricultural exporters dealing in cocoa and cashew are already counting their losses, with estimates suggesting over 1 trillion naira in agro export earnings could vanish annually. Meanwhile, inflation continues its climb, now hovering above 24%, with food inflation pushing past 26%, and with the naira slipping between 1,050 1,530 naira and 1,638 naira to the dollar. The pressure on households and businesses is only intensifying. But amid the crisis, there are questions like, can Nigeria pivot a new trade partners? Is the African Continental Free Trade Agreement a viable lifeline? Or must we brace for deeper shocks? This morning, we turn our lens to our global trade storm and its direct impact on Nigeria's economy. My case is already here. We'll take a break now. When we come back, with the ground on a place to stay with us. Welcome back. Today we're taking a look at the U.S. tariff and how it has affected Nigeria's economy. And I have with me in the studio to do justice to it, I have Pastor Akintunde Omamofa, a chartered accountant and also a former chairman of ICANN in Ondo State. It's a pleasure to have you on the show today.
Good to be here again. Good morning, viewers.
It looks to me that the majority of people, especially Nigerians, do not know what this US tariff that we're talking about is all about. Could you just tell us what this tariff is all about?
All right, thank you. So tariff is like taxes. So simply when US says, I'm, increasing my tariff, it's just simply saying I want to increase the tax that I put or duty that I put on goods that come into the United States of America. That's simply what it is.
So how do you think this policy will also affect countries around the U.S., especially those that are affected with this impose of tariff?
Okay, so there can be positives and there can be negatives. And that's why I love your prologue that suggests that it's all about uncertainties. You are not too sure of what the landing is. That will then be that every country must brace up. Every country needs solid negotiating power. When I say negotiating power now in terms of trade, you need to be able to have a solid team to help you negotiate appropriately to find what will benefit you more than the losses. So as it is, U.S. is focusing, the President Donald Trump is focusing on the entire world. So it isn't just about the countries that are very close to the United States. But we know that in terms of trade volume, it affects one country more than the other. He has been so particular about about the China. He has been so particular about Canada. He has been so particular about the EU. That's talking about the 28 countries of the EU. He has been so particular about all the, power blocks, within the space, within the trade space. Because the whole idea for Mr. Donald Trump is that America must become big and bold again and better again. He felt that there have been a lot of trade practices and relationship that had not favored the U.S. And he wants to make sure that U.S. continues to be the industrial hub and not China, for example, which at the moment had overtaken them. So quite a number of products from China coming to the U.S. I mean, this also is not something that happened suddenly. This started way back from the time of Jimmy Carter talking about the whole idea of globalization, the whole idea of liberalization, where the West believe that it can be a win-win for everyone, where they expect, okay, production can take place from the East with cheap labor, then you can then have cheaper products coming to the West, where you also have the population, you also have the demand for those goods. But it had turned out to be maybe in the analysis of Mr. Donald Trump to be something that is not so favorable again. And that's why he wants this policy shift. But the way he had gone about it is out for the jury to decide whether it had been appropriate. Now, very recently, he was celebrating that so far, as a result of the tariff, American had gained $150 billion, right? American had gained $150 billion. So that for him is a bragging right and optics to show that if he press on ensuring that this tariff is imposed and finalized across all nations, then American can have.
But most nations are also skeptical now. They are not even pushing their goods to America.
So to have the trade deal is many of the nations have not been able to finalize. UK had not been able to finalize. The EU had not been able to finalize. Canada had not been able to finalize across products now. China had not been able to finalize, and that's why we have seen that Mr. Trump had extended the deadline over and again about 3 times, and we are nearing the nearest we are nearing the final deadline, now. So we are hoping to see that nations come to the table and negotiate in a way that helps everybody. Africa, or Nigeria in particular, is only jittery not because of our trade volume, but because of the ripple effect that it may.
We'll still come to this ripple effect, because that's also the major point why we are here. But let's take a look at the American and Americans. Would you say they're also comfortable with this policy?
Now, Mr. Trump was overwhelmed.
I ask you because I want to know if they're also comfortable in terms of the goods. Can they also produce all the goods they need in America?
So those are the issues. The jury is out, right? Whether the policy is the best for America at this time, right? It looks more like I just need to fulfill my campaign promise. But now, can we confidently say fulfilling that campaign promise is bringing wealth to not just America as a nation, but Americans? We have to, take time to prove that over the months when this tariff comes into effect. Now, the fact is that once you increase duty or taxes on imported goods, the nation is not subsidizing to pay for that extra, which means that consumers will ultimately pay. I'm not going to, if you ask me to pay extra 70%, for example, on a particular product to come into your country. Now, for those who will sell those goods in America, they're not going to sell cheap. They're going to sell recovering the cost of duties that they have paid on those products.
So that means it's going to have...
at the moment, consumers, even though for political correctness, we say, because he was overwhelmingly voted for. So it's too early in his, term for the same people that voted him in to begin to cry out that, look, these appears should be paying on us. But that is the truth. Prices of goods will continue to go higher in the U.S. He knew about it. He had told them that the pain is for a temporary moment. Because don't forget and don't keep your eye off the real, apart from the monetary things or the monetary terms of the benefits. The whole idea also, according to Mr. Trump, or what you expect, is that America can then begin to produce. You're not going to set up those shops, those factories, within 90
overnight.
days. The producers from China are not going to come into your country and set up those shops within 90 days. So definitely something that will be on a long term, even if we allow this tariff to stay and manufacturers need to come into the U.S., it's not going to happen overnight. So while it is not happening overnight, people need to pay for those gaps.
So why are we also G3 here in Nigeria? When you take a look at the figures coming from
Nigeria has to be G3.
Man is talking about losing 1-2 trillion naira, and also exporters are talking.
They are on point. Nigeria has to be G3. You have to understand that the world had become single economy. So every geopolitical actions and activities, you have to strategically think about it and see how you respond as a nation. There is no nation that is an island to itself. Now, we export to the US. We export principally natural gas. Now, after oil and gas, we export to the US cocoa, which you mentioned. We actually export cashew, which you mentioned. We mentioned so those high-level agricultural products are products we also export to the US. Now, you imagine if the tariff is high and we cannot, in a way, take our products into the US. That shows that we then to look for alternative markets. That may not be overnight also. So while it is not overnight, within a year, as you have put in your report, we could actually filter away the wealth of what ordinarily we should have exported to the US. That's for agricultural products. Now, think about our oil. Now, if the way US is going about it, the global demand for oil may likely reduce. Let me explain how it is. Now, you imagine that if China is not too sure that their products will go into the US this year because of the uncertainty, right? Then production will slow down. If production slows down, energy demand, to produce will also slow down. If energy demand slows down, which we are already seeing, the global demand for oil will also slow down. And when the supply is more than the demand, prices will come down. And that's what we have seen. So for us in Nigeria, we have a benchmark of $75. We have never hit that 75 since because the demand for oil is gradually going down. So that puts our national budget at big risk. In short, if there is anything that Nigeria is considering is to be able to, and IMF mentioned it very recently, go look at your budget again because that oil price may not likely hit 75 for the rest of the year. So that puts the budget at big risk, and that's why we then need to revamp, and amend our budget and rework our budget so that it can be it can be credible and accurate.
Which of these sectors that you also mentioned about do you think is most vulnerable?
The manufacturing sector is because when you look at what we take to the US, it's basically agricultural products. Now, for the manufacturing sector, why they are also crying for is that the inputs they get by way of technology, by way of raw materials from the US will be at risk. And if that is the case, you then have, on one hand, it's a possibility. It's not totally what you have to confirm. You then find yourself, with increased production cost. And if there is increased production cost, certainly increase in price. And consumer, do we have the purchasing power at this time to be able to buy at higher prices more than what we are doing at the moment?
Though I also agree that there's no nation that is an island to itself. But don't you think it's also high time for us to start to think about how to produce, to finish products?
So
just like in cocoa.
Those are the opportunities therein. I mean, while you provided your product, those are the opportunities you mentioned. Those are the opportunities therein. Can Nigeria begin to look at how to also emerge as a new frontier, a new production hub, and then ramp up production capacity across sectors, put in more incentives, I should say, for manufacturing associations of Nigeria so that impact products within manufacturing sector can then be incentivized so that they are able to produce to export. But at the moment, this is not happening. So that can be the opportunity there. You mentioned HAFTA, which means that we can then expand our trade. Even if you are not going to send your products to US because of standardization issues, you are not going to be able to compete. You are not going to be able to send your products to China or to India. Then within African market, can we begin to look at how to expand our frontier within African market?
But it's also taking Nigeria and the rest of Africa so long for them to agree on this.
So trust Africa, we are always late in coming. That is the issue. Will our leadership be ever ready and prompt to know that, look, we can, because Africa is the next market. That's why they are coming. The population of Africa will continue to increase. In short, by projection, by the year 2050, Nigeria will be the third largest, most populous country in the world, only behind China and India. So that shows that the market here is huge. But the question is, we are not even planning for that market. We are all the time budgeting and planning for the present. We are never thinking of the next 10 years, the next 15 years. We are not thinking of how to embrace that market in the next 15 years. So it will come on us suddenly and we'll be there again shouting. And so this, I believe, part of what media tries to do is to set the agenda, and I strongly believe that's what you are doing, so that with this analysis and discussion, government can begin to think that in the next 2 years, in the next 3 years, I mean, we need to look at what is happening at the subnational level. How many governments at the subnational level, as we have in the US, as we have in China. Look, when we talk about China, China doesn't churn out products as China. All the provinces in China are producers. Look, it is not just about Beijing. It is not just about the capital, as we have maybe only Lagos as the commercial hub in Nigeria, or Lagos, Kano, and not even Port Harcourt, Lagos and Kano. Now, in China, you have all the provinces. You have free trade zone across the provinces in China. That's what we want to see in Nigeria. We want to see industrial hubs across the subnational, but that is not happening at the moment.
Some people have also said that this policy, this decision from the US is basically targeted against the China, because they are also on the neck of the US when it comes to economy. How do you think they can also resolve this matter? Because as a sneeze now, it's also
everybody is
the world.
shaking. So, I mean, I only hope Mr. Trump can then feel the temperature of the entire world. You could see how he's treating Canada, their nearest neighbor. You could see how he's doing to all the North American countries. Can Mr. Trump slow down a bit beyond China and then allow a world order, to be maintained? At the moment, there is no order in the world, simply because the U.S. Had created something that is affecting everybody. But in a way, like WTO, President Dr. Kojo had always said, the times have changed, and it may not return to how it used to be. So every nation then needs to, reposition, reevaluate your position. Simply, that's what it means. Then you begin to look at how to.
I was about to ask you that now, when we take a look at corporate and business realities, how are Nigerian importers and exporters adjusting to the effect of these global tariff changes?
At the moment, it's all in the realm of possibilities. So we are waiting on government. I'm sure you know at the moment, there is no national response in terms of policy to how we even want to deal with it.
Exactly.
There had not been. The team of the president went to the US the other day.
They've just left Nigerians thinking.
They didn't come back with any specific policy reactions of how we need to deal with it. Now, we understand the economy management team, the president asked them to meet and look at budget and see what they can do. Yet, there had not been any strong or any policy statements out there for even the private sector to work around or to respond to. So everything remains at the level of speculation at the moment, but we only hope that internally we can begin to do what we have to do. Show up your external reserves so that you have the buffers by the time you begin to have imbalance in the balance of payments.
What financial strategies would you recommend to Nigerians businesses navigating global tariff uncertainties as an expert?
Okay, so we have touched on one which has to do with can we be more competitive with our products, so that we also take some time.
Do you think we'll still have that time for now?
So we have to start the journey, because even without Mr. Trump's tariff, are we not supposed to be a nation that exports beyond oil? That's the case. So even without tariff from Mr. Trump, as a nation, by now we should go beyond oil, exporting beyond oil. So then we can then look at other issues of then finding new partners, finding new friends, maybe in China, to say, look, we welcome your products. If only it will not just be dumping ground. So they just dump their products. But again, that can be dangerous
we tried
for local.
We tried that during this currency swap with China.
It never worked. So we hope that that currency swap can then be revitalized again. You see that even Trump is fighting the BRIC nations, because he knows that he just feels that anybody that is now a friend with the BRICS, that's the Brazil, China, India, and South Africa, he says, no, then I'm going to hit you harder. I'm going to hit you harder. So it takes a lot of,
It's also hitting South Africa.
Yes. So, I mean, every nation needs to be careful and tread softly. That's what we call superpower. And that's what the US is.
What kind of cushioning effect do you want to recommend to government as also go into all of these?
For government, we need to, on the side of oil, we need to continue to push for increase in production. At the moment, we understand that
If you increase production, we don't know how we are to export it so.
Okay, so that's the point. But the fact that you can then convert some of those products, the crude, to other products that can be used.
The byproduct.
Yeah, is also a possibility. And good enough, you have Mr. Dangote, who even recently said they have increased their production capacity from 650 to 700, and he can help you supply African market, right? So that in itself is there. So you are not just selling to.
So Dangote should not be thinking of also exporting to US now.
At the moment, maybe not. At the moment, maybe not. He also needs to find new buyers across.
So generally, what should we be thinking of, and how do we also arrange ourselves to ensure that this does not hit us so hard?
A national response has to happen in the most coordinated way. I think we need to focus on new markets. It doesn't necessarily have to be oil. It can be through agriculture, which at the moment we are not doing enough. We are not doing enough with agriculture, and that for me will be where the next wealth of Nigeria is not necessarily through information products. So if we can then improve production in agri, by the way, that will solve inflation problems, because our inflation, the most important causative factor of our inflation is the food price, food issue. So if you are able to make supply to be more with food, prices will go down. Then there are many nations that need our food products, that need it as raw materials. So that for me is one area that we really need to do a lot. Subnationals need to begin to go back into production and farm at a commercial level. I begin to ask everywhere I go to, right, what quantum, for example, in the state of arable land are we cultivating? Give us the statistics. What quantum are you cultivating in Ekiti? What quantum are you cultivating in Oyo? And all of that. As a nation, President said we need to do 550,000 hectares, right? And it doesn't have a land, so that means that the 550,000 hectares have to be distributed among states. Where is our portion, right? Except we begin to be accountable in terms of knowing what we have to do per year in terms of production, we are not there yet. It will just remain at the realm of making beautiful species.
I've also brought farmers here on this show. They have also talked about also exporting their produce abroad. Do you think this will also have a negative effect on them? And also, do you also think that we have also produced enough for us to be thinking of exporting?
So that's the point we are making. We have not produced enough. They want, a typical farmer wants exports because he wants the money at the moment. So if we produce more than sufficiency level, we will be forced to then export. Certainly that will happen.
So you concentrate on production first?
Production first.
The last 25 minutes or thereabout, I've been speaking with Mr. Akintunde Omomofa, a pastor and also a chartered accountant, former chairman of ICANN in Ondo State. Together, we're taking a look at US tariff and how it's affecting or has affected Nigeria's economy. I want to thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us on the show today.
Again, always a pleasure to
It's
be
a pleasure having you. That's how you're going to be on the show today. Join us on Friday for another one. Kunle Ario is my name. Good morning.